you talk a little bit about the reasoning and the rationale behind ATA's decision to push forward for a speed limiter rule, and then Todd will go to you for a rebuttal.
Well, we started a petition, developed a petition in NHTSA back in 2006 on speed limiters and requiring heavy truck OEMs to install speed limiters with a cap 65 miles an hour. We did that because speed kills. It's that simple. We are a safety first organization, and we believe that as rule one. Slow down. It's really more simple. We thought NHTSA believed the same thing, yet it took them 5 years to even acknowledge that we submitted a petition. They finally wrote one 5 years later, and last year provided it to the OMB, Office of Management and Budget in the administration. It's been sitting there for a year, over a year now. I honestly don't think we're going to see a draft rule out of the administration or FMCSA until after Scott Darling is confirmed in the Senate, which probably won't be after the elections in November. But at the end of the day, we totally support that, support a limiter, one that has it's tamper resistant and has a cap of 65 miles an hour.
Yeah. So in the name of safety, whereas I think Todd and OOIDA's stance is that if you have trucks moving at a slower speed and passenger cars moving at a faster speed, you're actually creating a safety issue in terms of traffic not flowing altogether. What's OOIDA's response to ATA's stance?
See, Ted sort of said it to me privately a minute ago. Every truck has a speed limiter right now, and we believe every truck has it. Now his idea is a little different than mine, but every truck has a speed limiter now, and it's the person behind the wheel. That's the speed limit. There are times, I mean, everybody's going to know, everybody here knows what rolling roadblocks are. Everybody knows. I mean, how many of them do you want to deal with every day? And you know how people drive around rolling roadblocks? You talked a little bit about NHTSA, Ted. You mentioned that. Julie Cirillo, who was with NHTSA for years and years and was the first chief safety officer, I don't know if it was FMCSA then, the first chief safety officer. Now, she didn't have the title of administrator, but she spent her whole life studying speed, and it is all about vehicles maintaining the same or close to the same speeds. Now, that's assuming these are reasonable speeds, and going all the way back to AASHTO and this whole debate through the years, and I've been doing this stuff a long time, people are going to drive at speeds that they believe that are safe and prudent. Now, I'm talking about people driving cars. And setting speed limits that are counter to that, if you set them slower, it doesn't make highways safer. All of the same people that said we should never do away with 55 said, oh, we're going to have carnage on the highways. And it simply, the exact opposite happened. So, you can make the safety claims, but you need to kind of look around what goes on the road. The environment for a drivers need to have the ability to speed up and get around vehicles. In many instances, they need to be able to drive the truck to respond to traffic situations they face. The deadliest roads in our country aren't our interstate highways, it's the two-lane roads, and we have gobs of trucks that run on two-lane roads. And if you've ever driven one and you're passing somebody on a two-lane road, it ain't like you got all day. You want to get around them. It is very much a safety issue. And again, when we look at the carriers that use the technology, we look at their drivers, we look at their crash numbers, FMCSA crash numbers. These are not impressive. These are impressive numbers for all the wrong reasons. So, That's simply nonsense. We need a good professional driver, well-trained behind the wheel of every truck. We need one that's experienced, and we need one that's career-minded. That's the way to improve safety. And of course, you know, I have my own opinion about why this is held up at OMB. And it's because most of the numbers that have been provided, the claims have been made, simply don't wash. Trucks, carriers with speed limited trucks get gobs of speeding tickets. They get them in all the wrong places. If you limit how productive they can be on the safest roads that are available today, where does a driver make up the time? On some of those that are below, they'll be below the speed limiter, but these are roads that if a driver ought to be taking their time, that's where it should happen. That's where tickets get written, and that's where crashes happen. And again, we wouldn't be having this discussion at all if there was any value at all placed on a driver's time. Any value at all. You know, we talk a lot about hours of service. Well, what do you get when you put a driver in a situation where they spend even more time behind the wheel? It's nuts.
I'm not going to disagree with Todd. I would say, however, that there's one thing that's missing in this whole package of speed limiters, and that's the enforcement portion. Today, you can hardly see a cop on the highway, except they seem to find me all the time.
If you don't have the Waze app, go ahead and download it.
But the enforcement side of this thing is also got to be considered. And there's another reason, I think, besides the data, the reason for this at OMB, and that is the fact that it's not the Attorney General of the United States that's got to enforce these laws, and it's the police that work for the state Attorney General. And they get paid by there's two different pay processes there. I think there's a states' rights issue that is a concern. I would, however, say that I just read an article, I think it was just yesterday, that Wyoming now leads the nation in speed-related deaths. Wyoming. They've got a speed limit.